Ladies and gentlemen, when you stumble, you stop assessing destiny and start assessing the damages. And when you start assessing the damages, inevitably, you want to understand what caused it. Everything that's been holding you back from completing your assignment is a scarecrow, no life in it. It's just straw and fabric standing over the top of your promise. Grab your neighbor and shake them. Oh, shake that thing. This is Romeo and Juliet. This is the coming together of lovers lost, and David is leading the way. He brings the Ark of the Covenant up on a new cart. He employs the help of the sons of Abinadab and Ahio, and he brings back the glory. What you have to see is that he has at least 30 men with him. So let's just guesstimate 60 people are following him down a 7-mile biblical Palestinian road. Can you imagine what it is like to have 60 people on a road you could barely drive a truck through? No interstates, no highways, just villages lining the path, watching in awe. What is that? A girl says, look back down the road. For miles, people are following David, and this is his moment to show that he is different from other leaders. His cause is good. He wants to bring back the glory. Nothing wrong with his cause. He's got a new cart. He's got Ahio and Uzzah. He's got a band. They're playing music. People are waving banners. Here he comes. The new president, the new king, the new pastor. There's nothing worse than having a problem when you're new. When you're old and established, your church can withstand the blow. Nobody wants a blow, but when you've been around long enough, some folks will stand by you. But when you're new and you run into a crisis, it can be fatal, and everybody's looking at him. And all of a sudden, he stumbles. Well, let me be fair, he didn't really stumble. The ox stumbled. The ox stumbled, and the ox slid, and Uzzah reached out to grab it. And God got mad and killed Uzzah. And David got mad because God killed Uzzah. He was frustrated because he started good, and he stumbled. The stumble is inevitable. The stumble happens for correction. You cannot lead without a stumble. I know all the prophets have prophesied to you. The blessing of the Lord is going to overshadow you and knock you out, and the church is going to explode in 20 minutes. But let me adjust that prophecy just a little bit. Between you and the fulfillment of that prophecy, there's going to be a stumble. I want all the senior statesmen who have lived through a stumble to holler at your boy, who would have thought the ox would stumble. If anybody should be used to dirt roads, it should be an ox. Have you ever had a problem in the most unlikely place? Everything you thought you'd have to go through. You never had to, but in the place where you were confident, all hell broke loose. This stumble occurred, and the Bible notes that it happened at the threshing floor. This is no accident. The threshing floor is where harvesters bring the wheat to separate the chaff from the grain. It removes what's inedible, what doesn't make the cut. The ox did good until it got to the threshing floor. They were singing, waving banners. Everything was great until they got to the threshing floor. You don't know what you've got as a leader until you get to the threshing floor. Now, when I look at people, I'm not asking, are you doing good now? I'm asking, can you make it through the threshing floor? Can you make it if all your followers leave you? If they cuss you on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram? Can you make it if your child gets pregnant? If your name ends up in the paper? Can you make it if all hell breaks loose? The stumble is necessary. It tells you what's wrong. The start doesn't show you what's wrong. The stumble does. The ark stumbled. Uzzah touched it, and he died. This is perplexing. Why would God kill a man for trying to help? Because when you reach the stumbling place, you have to adjust your strategy for survival. I had a young man go through a death in his family. He asked me, why did this happen? I said, right now, it's not important why. You just have to survive it. See, when you enter crisis mode, your expectation becomes survival. If I can just put one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, sweet Jesus, I don't know who I'm talking to, but you came here in the middle of a crisis. And God said, all you have to do is steady yourself and survive it. Before stumbling, you were assessing destiny. After stumbling, you're assessing damage, and when you assess damage, you ask what caused it, so it won't happen again. The first clue is the cart. God says you're doing the right thing, but using the wrong tools. Every time you want a breakthrough, you figure out who you can call, never realizing you were enough. Your stumble occurs when you start thinking you need what you don't need. Your faith is in talent, tools, and technique, but where is your God? David should have known better. God already gave instructions for how the ark was to be carried, with staves on the shoulders of priests. That way, if one person stumbles, you don't lose the whole thing. God wasn't just mad at Uzzah. He was mad at David. Sometimes God has to kill your Uzzah to get your attention. You had the wrong tools and the wrong people. What was Uzzah doing up front? Uzzah was Abinadab's boy, a heathen, and he's leading the procession. Sometimes your stumble is because you put the wrong people up front. In corporate America, they say, be slow to hire and quick to fire. In church, we're the opposite, quick to hire, slow to fire, and now you're trying to convert what God wants to correct. 60 000 people are behind you, and you're trying to convert a mess. If the wrong people are in the wrong place, it bottlenecks the whole system. One small misalignment can cause massive pain, so we've got the wrong tools, wrong people, and now we're in the wrong place. You ask, if the cart and the people were wrong, how did we make it this far? Because it worked until the threshing floor. Tradition might carry you, but only so far. The threshing floor exposes what needs correcting. God got mad, David got mad, but God wasn't just correcting Uzzah. He was correcting David's leadership. God said, I had to stop you right here. Because you are so close to your destiny, I cannot allow you to enter it with heathens up front. It would contaminate the promise I'm about to fulfill in your life. So we dealt with the start, the stumble, and now comes the silence. Uzzah is dead. God is angry. David is angry. And then David is afraid. Isn't it funny how men often mask every emotion with anger, but beneath the anger is fear, and David reverenced God, but he was afraid. God leaves the ark in the house of Obed-Edom and blesses him. Why? Because one of God's greatest ministries is jealousy. When God wants to humble and shift you, he'll bless someone else in front of you. Just like he did with Hannah, he let Peninnah keep having babies, and the more Peninnah was blessed, the more desperate Hannah became, until she fell before God and said, "Give me a child, lest I die." I hope you are jealous. I hope it gets under your skin to see others being blessed. Maybe that's what will drive you to your knees. And have you noticed how the attacks against you are synchronized? The enemy strikes right before the breakthrough, at the people and things you care most about. Because he studied you, he strategized, but God brought you here to put on the whole armor. You're not wrestling against flesh and blood, but against principalities, territorial demons. What works in Texas might not work in the UK. You have to know what you're up against in your region. In Job 1, Satan said, I saw Job, but you have a hedge around him. The reason you made it is not because you're stronger than others, but because God built a hedge. So stop being self-righteous. Thank God for what he didn't let happen. Thank him for the diseases you didn't get, the pain you didn't endure, the trauma you never knew. Give him a humble praise, because you're stepping into harvest time. And wherever there's a harvest, there's a scarecrow. Simon, the sorcerer, had convinced people he was someone great, but he was just a scarecrow. Scarecrows look real, but they're fake, and behind every scarecrow, there's fruit. So when Philip went to Samaria, healed the sick, and cast out demons, the enemy tried to scare him with Simon. But Philip wasn't scared of no crow. Tell your neighbor, I'm not scared of no crow. Behind the scarecrow is the money, the harvest, the property. Every pastor shouts, increase. Every time you shout increase, you're declaring harvest over your life. Philip baptized Simon, Shut it down. You've got to shut down your scarecrow. You can't drive it out of your region until you drive it out of you. That fear, that voice that says you're not good enough. It won't last. You don't belong. That's a scarecrow. You never see scarecrows on highways because there's no fruit there. Scarecrows stand where fruit is present, and that means you're standing in the right place.